and welcome to the Friends of Nottinghamshire Archives Phonobites series. I'm Karen Wynyard, and today I want to talk about the first of 3 women who were involved in a workhouse scandal. Nottinghamshire Archives hold many poor law records, and they reveal interesting details of the workings of the poor law. But all too often, the story they tell is one-sided. The details and names of the paupers, particularly women, can go unrecorded, and their voices are lost. One case, concerning allegations of misconduct on the part of the master or governor of the Southwell Union Workhouse, involved 3 such unnamed women. It's been quite a challenge, identifying them and discovering a little bit more about their lives. This is the story of the first, the woman of weak intellect. On the 22nd of May, 1838, it was minuted at the meeting of the Board of Guardians that the clerk was to write to the Poor Law Commissioners as follows. The Guardians of the Southwell Union are sorry that they have to state to the Poor Law Commissioners certain irregularities on the part of the governor of the workhouse, which they do not think it right to pass over without notice. A poor woman, whose intellects were imperfect, but who was inoffensive in her conduct, has got over one of the walls of the house and run away more than once. The governor suggested to the board that a clog should be put upon her leg, but the board positively refused to sanction any such course, and forbid the use of any such instrument, directing only some alteration in the wall to render the escape less easy, and a more diligent surveillance to prevent it. Notwithstanding these directions from the board, it appears that a wooden clog was put on the woman's leg, for 2 days at least. This wooden clog would have been similar to the truancy clogs used in schools. This is the only reference to the use of such a restraint that I've come across in documents relating to the Southwell Workhouse. So, can we recover this woman's name and story? We know there were 5 women with mental health issues living at the workhouse in the 1840s. Their details are found on 2 sets of returns or lists of lunatics that were sent to the Poor Law Commission in 1844 and 1847. These are records held at the National Archives, and they can be found online. The 5 women were Sarah Ward, Sarah Mountney, Susan Elvidge, Sarah Gaskin, and Anne Keyworth. We can eliminate Anne Keyworth because she only entered the workhouse after 1838. Susan Elvidge is listed as an inmate on the 1841 census, but there is no record of the date she was first admitted. The official admissions registers for the workhouse have not survived. Nottinghamshire Archives do hold a journal kept by the master, which includes lists of the pauper inmates that date from 1834 to 1837. Susan Elvidge does not appear anywhere in this journal. Later records confirm that, although she was chargeable to the parish of Southwell, her place of birth was not known. My research indicates she was born in West Keele, Lincolnshire, around 1798, and came to Southwell to work as a servant. The 1851 census notes that she was deaf, but this is never mentioned on the returns of lunatics or the inspection reports of the commissioners in lunacy. So it's possible she entered the workhouse as early as 1838. But given the fact that her name is not recorded anywhere in the minutes of the Guardians' meetings, or in the correspondence with the Poor Law Commission before 1847, I think it's unlikely she caused any trouble by her behaviour. The remaining 3 women, Sarah Mountney, Sarah Ward, and Sarah Gaskin appear to be stronger candidates for the woman who was restrained with the wooden clog in 1838. All three appear in the Master's Journal that covers the period 1834 to 1837. Sarah Ward and Sarah Mountney are noted to be insane, while Sarah Gaskin is noted to be weak in mind. In one respect, Sarah Mountney differs from the other two women. Gaskin and Ward both appear on the first list of pauper inmates dating to 1834, and could have been in the workhouse from an even earlier date. John Fogg took the job of master at the workhouse in 1832. By 1838, he would have known both Gaskin and Ward for at least 4 years, and there is no reference in the Master's Journal to either of them causing him any trouble. Both women would have been settled within the routine of workhouse life. Sarah Mountney's name does not appear in the Master's Journal until the last list of inmates in 1837. She was among those paupers transferred to the Southwell Union Workhouse from the smaller parish workhouse that housed the paupers of the town before the new poor law came into effect in 1836. This building was then sold in 1838 and became the Baptist Church on Nottingham Road. So Sarah would have been new to both the Union Workhouse and John Fogg. She could well have been unsettled by her new surroundings, the new routines and new faces, and this disruption could well have caused her to make frequent attempts to run away. Although I can't be 100% certain, I believe Sarah Mountney most closely matches the woman of weak intellect. Sarah's life story is sad, but not uncommon. She was born around 1784, the daughter of Joshua and Rebecca Lockwood. She married an agricultural labourer, Thomas Mountney, at Southwell Minster on the 7th of July 1806. The couple began their married life at the nearby village of Bleasby, Thomas's home parish, where the first of their children was born 5 months later. Thomas Jr. was the first of 7 children, and the only one to be baptised at Bleasby. The couple moved to Southwell after 1806, where all their other children were baptised. Sarah had one daughter, Mary, who was baptised in 1809, followed by 5 more sons: John, Benjamin, Henry, Edmund, and William. There are 2 periods of nearly a decade where no children are born to the couple, from 1810 to 1819, and again from 1822 to 1830. It's possible that the couple lived apart for extended periods, and one of the reasons for this may have been Sarah's mental health. We know that Sarah spent a few months in Sneinton Asylum following the birth of her son Benjamin in January 1819. Nottingham was the first county in England to build an asylum that admitted pauper lunatics. It opened in 1812, and many of its records are held at Nottinghamshire Archives. The minutes of the asylum's House Committee meetings record on the 3rd of June 1819. From the report of Dr. Pennington, Sarah Mountney of Southwell, be this day discharged, as recovered. 4 years later, Sarah's eldest son, Thomas, died and was buried at Southwell Minster on 14th of August 1823. He was aged only 17. It's possible this personal tragedy caused Sarah to be readmitted to the asylum, but I found no evidence of this. And there's another reason why Sarah and her husband Thomas were not living together. The correspondence between Southwell Workhouse and the Poor Law Commission contains evidence that Thomas abandoned Sarah and their children. In a letter dated 1st of October 1844, the clerk provided the Poor Law Commission with details about Sarah Mountney to confirm that she did not need to be transferred to the asylum. The guardians wish a statement to be made to the Poor Law Commissioners respecting the woman Mountney, that she is not a dangerous lunatic, that in consequence of the desertion of her husband many years ago, while she had a young family, she became chargeable to the parish of Southwell and was sent to the parish workhouse, where she remained until the formation of the Union. Then she was transferred with one child to the Union Workhouse, where she has continued ever since. A situation has been recently found for the child, who is no longer chargeable, and the woman remains in the house. She has never committed any act of violence during the 12 years she has been in the two houses, although she is a woman of weak mind, and is a very useful inhabitant of the house on account of the work which she performs, and in point of fact would be able to earn her own living if she were not, after her long continuance in the house, left without any friends or acquaintance from whom she could derive any assistance in getting into employment. The guardians have inquired of the medical officer in the workhouse, who states that he has seen no conduct on the part of Mountney which would justify him in certifying to the magistrates that she is a fit subject for a lunatic asylum. When Thomas abandoned Sarah, he left Southwell and went to live in Guildford, Surrey, where his brother John was already established as a tailor. The 1841 census for Guildford reveals that both Thomas and his son Henry were living there, near to John Mountney. All three men were working as tailors. According to the clerk's letter, Sarah entered the parish workhouse in Southwell in 1832 with her young family. Mary and John would have been in their early 20s and already independent. Sarah might have brought her 4 sons, Benjamin, Henry, Edmund and William, with her. But only William, aged 2, would have remained in the workhouse for long. The others were of an age where apprenticeships or farm work would have been found for them. By 1844, Sarah had lost William as well. He was apprenticed from the workhouse to a cordwainer or shoemaker in Nottingham. We don't know exactly when Thomas abandoned his family, but this is probably the explanation of the 2 periods of time when no children were born to the couple. Originally, Thomas may have only intended to establish himself at Guildford and then send for his family to join him so that they could start a new life. He was probably sending money home regularly to Sarah. But then, he seems to have given up the increasingly heavy burden of struggling to support a growing family. And yet, the fact that his son Henry had joined him in Guildford by 1841 indicates that Thomas hadn't entirely turned his back on his children. We have to accept it's possible that Thomas was not William's father, and it was this that caused him to desert his wife Sarah. We'll probably never know the full story of Sarah's married life, but we do now know enough to question the clerk's statement that she was friendless. William was too young to offer his mother any help, but Sarah had older children, and they could have given her a home and helped her to find work. I've yet to discover the fates of Benjamin and Mary, but her son Edmund also trained as a cordwainer, and he was living in Oldham, while John lived in Mansfield and worked as a grocer. It's really sad to think that Sarah was discarded and completely forgotten by her family. She became institutionalised, and she died at the workhouse. She was buried in a pauper's grave at Southwell Minster on the 11th of July, 1854. I hope you found this talk interesting. Why not join me next time, when I'll be looking at the story of the second woman involved in the scandal, the single mother. If you'd like to know more about the Friends of Nottinghamshire Archives, have a look at our website or Facebook page, or you can email us, secretary@fona.org.uk.